All right. Will the clerk please call this meeting of the Champaign County Board to order?
Rogers.
Present.
Settles.
Present.
Sexton. Sollard. Here. Dorsland.
Here.
Benich Theronot.
Here.
Here. Wilson.
Here.
Cagle.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Cowart.
Present.
Crane.
Here.
Esri.
Here.
Farty.
Here.
Fava.
Here.
Furtado. Hanover Friedman.
Here.
Lokshin.
Here.
Pugh. Rodriguez.
Here.
Locke.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. We're looking at a long meeting tonight. Before we get started, I did want to address something that was mentioned at Cal. There was a question from a board member as to why the audit was not complete. I'm going to just mention that the audit for 24 began in early 25. There was an April meeting after 3 months of data accumulation, supposedly, with our outside consultant, our outside auditor group, and the auditor's office was to submit 59 data points at that April meeting. On May 13th, we had an email from CLA showing that 51 of the data points were past due, were not presented. So we started out basically almost 3 months late. Last week, our audit consultant told us that certain entries were not made over the entire fourth quarter of 24 after an accountant left the auditor's office last October. We are in October now, so that means that no entries in that area were made for a full calendar year by our auditor. The audit will be late this year. Those are two reasons why. All right. For tonight's prayer, Lord, we thank you for this harvest. Keep our families and harvest crews safe in the fields and on the road. Give us resilience to persevere when prices in production for many commodities are lower than they were in previous years. Thank you. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Will the clerk please read the notice of the meeting?
Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois, will convene on October 23rd, 2025, 6:30 p.m. in the Shields Carter Meeting Room, Bidden Administrative Center, 102 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of allowing and ordering payments of claims against the county, receiving and acting upon reports of committees, and such other matters as may be brought before said meeting, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of said business.
Thank you. All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda and addendum? Motion from Ms. Benich-Theronot. Second, Wilson. Okay, Mr. Sollard.
I have an amendment I'd like to offer to move item 15A1, ARPA update, to immediately follow public input, and to move item 10, communications, to immediately follow 15C.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the agenda. Is there a second? Second, Locke. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All in favor of the amended agenda, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have an agenda. Thank you. Okay. Time and date of the next regular meetings are on the agenda. Please note, committee of the whole will be held on Monday due to the holiday on Tuesday. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 2025-267 honoring county employees for years of service? Motion by Lokshin, Second by Sexton. Any discussion? No. Would the policy chair please like to read the resolution?
Thank you. Resolution honoring county employees for years of service. Whereas it is the vision of the Champaign County Board to be a recognized leader in local government, where every official and employee has a personal devotion to excellence in public service and embraces the highest standards of ethics and integrity, which enables Champaign County to provide the best customer services to its citizens. And whereas one element of pursuing this vision is communicating to employees that their service to Champaign County is valued and appreciated. And whereas Champaign County employees admirably serve the people of Champaign County with full commitment to the responsibilities of county offices, work in partnership with fellow employees and county officials, and have dedication to the best interests of all the people of Champaign County. And whereas the Champaign County Board wishes to recognize the dedication and service of the employees who have reached 5, 20, and 25-year milestones in October of 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that the County Board of Champaign County hereby recognizes each of the aforementioned Champaign County employees as an asset to the citizens of Champaign County and expresses gratitude and sincere appreciation for their years of service. Presented, adopted, approved, and recorded this 23rd day of October, AD 2025. MC Neal, Information Technology, 5 years of service. Jared Bierce, Sheriff, 5 years of service. Kyle Selleck, Sheriff, 5 years of service. Kelly Pfeiffer, County Clerk, 20 years of service. Nicole Rolfs, Probation and Court Services, 25 years of service.
So Shannon would like to talk about her person, and the county clerk, Erin Ammons, and Chief Deputy Angie Patton have asked me to read this statement about Kelly. Kelly Pfeiffer is exactly the kind of employee that represents everything that is good about the county. Kelly has worked tirelessly in the county clerk's office under multiple clerks professionally and compassionately. Something people don't know is that our office is often called upon to do end-of-life marriages requiring admin to go to the hospital or house under less than ideal circumstances. Kelly has helped with many of these, showing great care, concern, and thoroughness. Kelly is a wonderful staffer, colleague, and proud dog dad. His sense of humor and care for others is something that sets him apart as a staffer and a human being. Congratulations to you, Kelly. We will never let you retire. We love you and thank you for all the work, mail runs, laughs, and service to the county. Sincerely, Clerk Ammons and Chief Patton.
Hi, everyone. I am here to talk about Nikki Rolfs, and I was lucky enough to have her supervisor, Julie Rush, also come along with us tonight, and she wrote something up about Nikki. I don't want to take too much time because Nikki needs to get to Mahomet for parent-teacher conferences, so I wanted to read what Julie wrote, though. Nikki began her career as a probation officer with Champaign County Court Services in 2000. She worked as the administrative officer for 16 years, utilizing the interstate compact system, supervising clients from other states and completing transfers to other states for clients wishing to relocate. She also supervised standard clients. In 2016, she took on a new role of public service work coordinator. Since that time, she's worked with countless agencies and nonprofit organizations to coordinate community service opportunities for justice-involved youth and adults. Some of the projects Nikki has coordinated volunteers for include the Champaign County Freedom Celebration, the Champaign County Electronics Recycling Event, cleanup at various schools, cleanup and maintenance at a local cemetery, cleaning of county vehicles, general cleanup of litter around the courthouse, meeting some needs and requests of the Public Defender's Office and the Circuit Clerk's offices. Salt and Light, she coordinates with Salt and Light a lot, the East Central Illinois Food Bank, the Rantoul Food Bank, Champaign County Animal Control, to name a few. So Nikki supervises all of our clients who have community service and verifies that they completed their hours. She also supervises approximately, we don't really know how many clients who are currently on court supervision and conditional discharge because of some issues with the case management system, but we think it's probably around 1,000 people currently under court supervision and conditional discharge that Nikki supervises as well. So those are lower level kind of probation offense or probation dispositions. She also supervises the second chance misdemeanor program. She verifies completion of court ordered conditions, including substance abuse treatment, anger management, and partner abuse classes, as well as verifying the completion of the community services hours and online education classes. She coordinates the victim impact panel provided by MAD, as well as the Spanish victim impact panel for individuals with convictions for DUIs. Nikki and her husband are the parents of 2 kids. She's active in their schools as well as her church. She has a kind heart and is a fierce advocate for children in foster care. She worked with Senator Chapin Rose to bring awareness of much needed changes to the foster care system in the state of Illinois. Nikki always brings a cheerful disposition to the office. When large community service projects are going on, she's the first one to roll up her sleeves and step up to help. Nikki has also gone above and beyond, working to mow and clean up a local cemetery on her own time when public service workers were unable to perform the task. She's truly one of a kind, and we are very thankful for her service over the past 25 years. Thank you.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much for your service. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 2025-268 honoring retiring county board employees with a policy chair, moved by Mr. Farney, second by Ellie. Would the policy chair please it's going to be a long night, folks. Would the policy chair like to read the resolution?
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution number 2025-268, resolution honoring retiring county employees. Whereas it is the vision of Champaign County Board to be a recognized leader in local government where every official employee has a personal devotion to excellence in public service and embraces the highest standards of ethics and integrity, which enables Champaign County to provide the best customer services to its citizens. And whereas one element of pursuing this vision is communicating to employees that their service to Champaign County is valued and appreciated, and whereas Champaign County employees admirably serve the people of Champaign County with full commitment to the responsibilities of county offices, work in partnership with fellow employees and county officials, and have dedication to the best interests of all the people of Champaign County, and whereas the Champaign County Board wishes to recognize the dedication and service of the employees who will be retiring in October 2025, now therefore be it resolved that the Champaign County Board recognizes each of the aforementioned retiring Champaign County employees as an asset to the citizens of Champaign County and expresses gratitude and sincere appreciation for their years of service. Presented, adopted, approved, and recorded this 23rd day of October, AD 2025. Wendy Fouch, Sheriff, 5 years of service.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much for your dedication to the job. We are now at public input. If there are members of the public that have not yet filled out a form, please fill that out and return that to me. First up, Ronaldo Camas.
Hello, Champaign County Board. I will not stay for the entire meeting because it seems like it's going to be a long one, but good luck to you all. When I saw the Champaign County Committee of the Whole special finance meeting, I was kind of disappointed with the lack of interest in the providing more funds for the coroner's office. I think that's something that's really needed, especially since it is, I know you guys are stewards of the finances of the county, as you should be, and we are in a very precarious situation right now with those finances. But with that being said, one of the big things that I know that has been posted about is the fact that we have to move, that other counties do our autopsies for us, and that is a big money waster. That is one of the big things that has been taking finances off from and has been a big cost for the county. And so if we can move it to such a way that we can do our own. if we can move it so that we can are able to do our own autopsies, that will be wonderful. And I think if I would gladly support and the community would support that. I'm also here to talk about adoption of resolution number 2025-303, support for county reparations commissions for African Americans. Although I believe that this will pass, but still, I think that's gladly needed and something that has been a long time coming, and that honestly we should have done sooner. And so, yeah, those are my two things. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, up next is Debbie Bunch.
My name is Debbie Bunch, and I live at 405 South Briarfield Court, Mahomet. My husband Dan and I have lived at the Briarfield Court address since 2003. Dan's parents lived there from 1987 to 2003. It is understood that Mr. Nurmi, as a landowner, can do what he wants with his land. However, a real farmer might have been more considerate of his neighbors. It would be hard to pass up multiple offers from solar companies to stop having the land farmed and start harvesting solar as a new crop. It will be more lucrative over time for the landowner and for his family inheritance. So this project checks all the boxes for the landowner. It is understood that the developer, Summit Ridge Energy, based in Arlington, Virginia, says this is an excellent location for the solar farm. Illinois is a solar company's dream state because of the state siting statute. The proposed site is in proximity to existing electrical infrastructure that allows for interconnection. The village of Mahomet showed no opposition to the project since they do not want to develop to the west of town. So this project checks all the boxes for the developer. However, we find out late in the game that the village administrator and village planner of Mahomet, two people in a village with a population of over 10,000 people, may have been the only two people involved in making the decision not to show opposition. It is understood that the ZBA members decided on every finding of fact in the affirmative for the project. So except for the proposed waivers, this project checks all the boxes for the county. It seems like a lot of time and work goes into a request like this at the county level for a very small cut of the property taxes this project will generate. 11.28% is the current percentage listed for the Champaign County government on the 2024 tax bill for the two parcels. 11.28% of $765,000, the property taxes the solar farm will generate over 40 years, is only $2,157.30 per year for the county. Back to the findings of fact. The wording for several of the findings of fact are debatable if you must be a neighbor to the project, and seems to be a matter of opinions in most cases. Who really knows that it will not be injurious to the district in which it will be located or otherwise detrimental to public health, safety, and welfare? Who really knows that it will be compatible with adjacent uses? Who knows the drainage will be adequate and that the property is well suited for the solar farm? Who says the requested special use does preserve the essential character of the district in which it is located? The solar farm is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the ordinance, but is it in harmony with the existing nearby residents and ecosystem? So the only group that this project does not check all the boxes for are the people who live in homes by the proposed project. The residents on the north side of Spring Lake alone paid $372,002.82 in property taxes for 2024, which at least 11.28% goes to the Champaign County government. I know there are new subdivisions in Mahomet that generate more in property taxes than our long-established subdivisions of Spring Lake and Briarfield Acres, but almost 15 million is bigger than $765,000 in property taxes from the solar farm over 40 years. I just ask that tonight you vote like the solar farm was being planned by your home and not by how a one-size-fits-all state statute says you should vote. And I also wanted to say that my husband and I have been to every single meeting since February, not just this one. We also have the best view of the project if it is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Hambleton.
I had a prepared speech, but it's you've heard it all. I sent an email to all of you on Monday, so I hope you've had time to read it. I want you to remember who's been coming to the last 5 meetings. It's the people who are going to be living right next to this. There was a community outreach done last week, 2 years too late. That was just to get a couple of votes swayed. There was now they're going to use local labor, which will sway probably 3 other votes on this board. I asked you not to be intimidated by this, nor by the threat of the lawsuit that this company has given every one of you here. You are between a rock and a hard place on this because of the community, because of the threat of the lawsuit. And maybe the best thing you can do is just abstain from this vote. I thank you very much for your time and these 6 meetings that we've been through. I know we probably bored you to death, but this is very passionate to us because we're living right next to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Alexis Godby.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Alexis Godby. I do live at Spring Lake, and I am here tonight to ask you all to please deny the solar project. I went back and forth with what I wanted to actually say tonight because I also have been at every single meeting up to this point and very involved in the process. Part of me feels like I've already said everything, but part of me wanted to bring up the changes the developer has made, like saying now the panel height is going to be 13.7 feet instead of 12 feet, and that the project is moving even closer to the railroad tracks now. Since the beginning, the developer has not listened to or even wanted any community feedback about this project. I have asked early on for a wooden fence around the inverters to quiet the noise pollution and was told no. We asked for written legal protection for the lake to protect it from excess sediment and to hold the developer financially responsible for any damages. And instead, on October 1st of this year, our HOA was offered a monetary donation over the phone. No specific amount was mentioned, and the offer was later declined by the HOA because they did not see it as genuine. I did ask the developer about the donation at their community meeting on October 15th, and they said they were planning to donate 5 figures or around $10,000. That's a donation that probably never would have been offered if the final vote actually happened at the last county board meeting, which I had then learned details about at the community meeting that never would have happened either. Honestly, it's really hard not to get emotional about this whole process. From the very beginning, the developer has actively avoided our community and then admitted to trying to advance the project before the awareness spread of the project. I just want to remind you that this is not just a decision on paper. This is a decision that will affect real families and real people, people who have invested their lives here, their savings, their love into this area because of its peace, its rule setting, its quiet, its sense of belonging. To put it simply, this is our home, the place where we should feel safe. We should be able to relax after a long day, spend a night on our porch, a day on our porch in the summertime, not hear buzzing of inverters. It is not just a convenient spot for the developer to tie into the grid. Given this whole process and the project itself, I honestly would not feel safe living in my home if this project were approved. So I really hope that your vote tonight will be a reflection of not only my views, but of the majority of our community, of the majority of who sent emails in and given speeches at all the meetings, and also of the 445 people and counting who have signed our petition, agreeing that this is not a suitable location for an industrial solar power plant. You guys do have the power tonight to stand with your Champaign County residents and say that this is not the right location for a solar project. So I really want to thank you guys for your time, your patience, and your service to this community. And I really ask that you please think about it. Please protect me, my family, and my neighbors, and please deny the solar project. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe it's Matt Corey.
Evening board. My name is Matt Corey. I live at 1516 North Shore Drive. We all know what's going on here, so I'm not going to say much. I don't like talking anyway. I don't even know why I'm up here, but I'm going to fight for what I know is right, and y'all know what's right. And to put this in my backyard is just like putting it in your backyard. That's all I got to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Daryl McCabe.
Mr. Executive,
Yes.
before the next speaker starts, I just got a text that says on the video feed, they can't see the speakers tonight.
Okay.
If we could have IT check on that, please.
Okay.
Hello. My name is Daryl McCabe, and I'm a resident of Urbana, Illinois, and I'm here to urge the county board to vote yes for the Mahomet Solar Project. My partner and I have been community solar subscribers for over a year and a half, and during that time, we've saved a total of $160 on our electricity bills, which translates to $9 per month or $110 per year, roughly. At the same time, we've avoided 5,670 pounds of carbon dioxide emissions, which is equivalent to the carbon storage potential of 42 trees or 287 gallons of gasoline. Thus, beyond helping us save money, community solar allows us to have more energy freedom by choosing an electricity option that is consistent with our value in reducing our contribution to planetary warming. Beyond increasing the frequency of wildfires and smoke that we experienced this summer, atmospheric heating is also driving more intense rainfall and longer heat waves, which are stressing our health, farmland, and increasingly fragmented ecosystems here in Illinois. These numbers might not seem large, but when multiplied by 84,000 households in Champaign County, it translates to $9.1 million a year in savings across electricity bills and more than 300 million avoided pounds of carbon emissions to the atmosphere, which is equivalent to planting 2.3 million trees. When making the decision about this project, it's important to consider both economic and environmental perspectives, but I also want to consider equity. After the rollback of the Inflation Reduction Act incentive for solar, including 30% residential and commercial tax credits, it will become significantly harder for low and middle income families like us to access solar and get these savings benefits. Community solar and programs like Illinois Solar for All, which this project will contribute to, are essential for expanding the number of households that have access to clean energy. Furthermore, the percentage of Champaign County residents who support solar for both the savings and carbon benefits is much higher than it will seem based on the turnout here tonight. According to the 2024 Yale Climate Opinion Maps, not only are 69% of Champaign County residents worried about global warming, but 67% support transitioning the economy to 100% clean energy by 2050. Finally, 52% of residents think that local officials should do more to address global warming. Because I'm among that 52%, I urge the board to support the Mahomet Solar Project. Thank you.
Thank you. Ted Hardkey.
Good evening. Thanks for letting us talk again another night to continue this vote. I want to tell you again, and I think that this is a really bad deal for the neighbors. I would never want one of these in my own backyard, even though this project doesn't affect me one bit. I'm sure I've spent more than $100 in gasoline coming to all these meetings in my vehicle to offset the other gentleman who saved $100 on his electric bill. I just wasted it, okay? So, all joking aside, my experience with wind turbines was a noise issue. I brought that issue up at the zoning meetings. Most times I got dismissed and told that I didn't know what I was talking about or I was wrong. And then at the most recent zoning meeting I was at, I had come for a different reason, and it was just happenstance that there was another solar farm that was presenting their project. And they presented that the noise would be inaudible outside the solar farm. And then when I pressed them, they said that the noise was going to be the maximum noise limit allowed in Illinois, which is 45 dBA. At 40 dBA is when sleep disturbance happens, because in the rural area, when the only noise source is a humming, buzzing, or thumping sound, like for a wind turbine would be thumping, it's the only noise that you have left, and it's a incessant noise you can't escape. Once I repeated my questions to the ZBA, the zoning administrator, John Hall, said, "Ted, you're wrong. There's no two standards. It's just the Illinois numerical standard." And I insisted that there was an annoyance level, which begins at 40 dBA for most people. And I had to go home and find the IPCB documents and then forward those to John Hall. And then he responded and said, "My apologies. I will show this to the ZBA." To me, I hope it was a game changer, that it's finally starting to sink in that this is the problem. So if there's any solar farm that comes to you, I think you definitely put in that the IPCB standards are met due to the noise annoyance level, which begins at 40. You guys need to have that in there at 39 dBA. It doesn't have to be the maximum numerical noise level allowed in the state of Illinois. You need to make sure it's the noise level that's permissible to make it possible for folks to enjoy all of their backyard and spend time on their own land or in their home on their own land. And it seems like I'm rambling because I'm not prepared, but I personally experienced this. It's a really bad deal. I've asked that they put in noise barriers, like a noise fence. Even recently, I took a lot of flack for this. I posted a video on the Champaign censored or uncensored Facebook pages. And on that, there's a lot of crazy people that just want to ream you over the coals and just tell you you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But in my video, I was at the Taco Bell drive-thru on South Route 45. And I noticed the noise fence was put there, and I knew what it was for. And I thought, I want to try this to make this a video. So I pulled into the Taco Bell like I was going to go through the drive-thru. I walked over to where I could see the new car wash with the drying blowers turned on, and they're pretty noisy. And I stepped behind this fence, and it knocked the noise down tremendously. I think it knocked the noise down at least 5 to 10 decibels. And the purpose of that fence was so that Taco Bell could possibly receive food orders in their drive-thru. That was the only reason for the fence. And here I'm asking for something simple, that Taco Bell and a car wash could work with each other so Taco Bell could still be in business. And all it took was a wood fence. And the developer turns around at a public meeting and tells these poor folks next to their solar farm that, no, we're not going to give you a wood fence. Isn't that just pathetic? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, next is Chelsea Peterson.
Good evening. My name is Chelsea Peterson, and I live in Urbana, Illinois. I'm here tonight to express my full support for the Mahomet Solar Project. I earned a bachelor's degree in environmental engineering and a master's degree in agricultural engineering, where I focused on nutrient loss from tile drains, and have been studying soil organic matter and wetlands for my PhD dissertation. Before I get started, I just wanted to comment that I thought the comment from the last speaker about undermining Daryl's savings benefits from solar was unkind, and I think we should all be respectful to one another in this room. Okay. In the decade that I've been studying environmental science, if not longer, a key takeaway is that all energy generation has health and environmental consequences. We have to think about trade-offs. What we need to consider when evaluating new projects is whether they do better than the current energy mix, which is the case when comparing solar to fossil fuels and ethanol. There are exceptions when solar can have negative environmental impacts when it's displacing sensitive habitat, but this is not what we are dealing with here because the project is on prior converted farmland with tile drains, and the environmental assessment did not identify any major concerns like effects on endangered species or wetlands. Nonetheless, Summit has voluntarily revised their plans to avoid removing 1 acre of timber. Of course, solar requires minerals in mining, just like all the technology we use daily, like the cell phones in our pockets. But these material requirements are far lower compared to fossil fuels, which we need to be continually resupplied. I want to ask why we're here tonight scrutinizing solar and not the oil, the coal, the natural gas that powers our modern lives. Rather than posing risks to our county, this project has multifold economic, health, and environmental benefits. Since 2010, the cost of utility-scale solar has fallen by a remarkable 82%, so adding more solar to our grid will alleviate rising energy costs that Illinois families have been experiencing, including mine, amid growing demand from data centers. Over the summer months, the electricity rate increased from 8% per kilowatt hour to 12%, which is a 50% increase. And I paid triple-digit electricity bills when I could have been paying 2-digit electricity bills. Beyond cheaper electricity, the solar project will provide higher income for the landowner and a new source of tax revenue for Mahomet and Champaign County to fund underfunded public programs. As someone who spends my days worrying about conservation, I sincerely appreciate the concerns about adverse impacts to soil, water, and wildlife expressed by some speakers and believe they come from a genuine shared value in our community. Still, it's odd to me that solar would motivate such strong opposition when we are living with growing risks to our health, farmland, and ecosystems that are often ignored and accepted as a status quo. Our birds and pollinators are in steep decline. Illinois has 153 animals and 333 plants that are threatened and endangered. We've lost 99.9% of our prairies, 90% of our wetlands, and 60% of our forests. So where have you all been? Our nutrient losses to waterways have gone up since they established a statewide reduction strategy. But none of these trends are due to solar or clean energy. They are due to non-regenerative agriculture, habitat loss, and climate change. Far from degrading water quality, the solar project will reduce nutrient losses by avoiding fertilizer applications. It will also help pollinators and public health by reducing applications of pesticides like dicamba and glyphosate, among many others. Rather than displacing farmland, the perennial vegetation under the panels will restore soil health so the land can be cultivated again after project decommissioning. Soil organic matter is like a bank of nutrients. When we're cultivating land and removing the crops annually, this bank is being spent. But when permanent vegetation is established, the nutrients are recycled back to the soil, allowing the bank to rebuild. Moreover, by reducing fossil fuel pollution, the solar project will improve air quality and slow planetary warming, which is already causing more intense flooding and extreme heat. In fact, it's expected to decrease crop yields due to a combination of drought, disease, and lower soil fertility. That means temporarily setting aside a small fraction of our acres to produce solar electricity will help ensure continued productivity on the remaining acres for the next century, if not longer. While I'm an enthusiastic community solar subscriber, my primary reason for being here tonight is caring about future generations, including my 3 nieces. So I'm just going to end with saying that we are the ark, not only for plants and animals, but also for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Tessa Clarizio.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Tessa Clarizio, and I'm a PhD candidate in environmental engineering here at the U of I, studying air quality, so I'll focus on that tonight. I wanted to speak today to express my support for the Mahomet Community Solar Project because it will improve air quality, reduce energy costs, and benefit our community's health and environment. Community solar is a practical local solution that provides affordable, reliable energy without the emissions associated with traditional fossil power. It's also most efficient when we need it the most, during summer, when air conditioners are running and electricity bills climb, which I'm sure many of us experienced this past summer. Solar energy reduces our dependence on fossil fuels and in doing so improves local air quality. The World Health Organization recognizes outdoor air pollution as a leading environmental cause of premature deaths worldwide. Poor air quality contributes not only to short-term symptoms such as coughing and asthma attacks, but also long-term risks, including respiratory and cardiovascular disease. And there's emerging evidence that even links air pollution to adverse birth outcomes in neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Air pollution also harms agriculture. Polluted air damages plant cells, reduces photosynthesis, and limits crops' ability to exchange gases through their leaves. Clean air, therefore, helps protect both public health and agricultural productivity. While in the US, air quality has generally improved over the past several decades thanks to environmental regulations, this progress has begun to stall or even reverse in recent years as wildfires out west have become more frequent and intense. Many of us here in Champaign County have experienced these effects firsthand. The smell of smoke in the air, the irritation we felt in our throats, and the yellowish-brown haze blanketing the sky several of the days this summer. These events highlight how important it is to reduce local sources of air pollution wherever possible so that we are not adding to the problem when wildfire smoke impacts our air. While no energy development is perfect, we should pursue solutions that minimize environmental harm while maximizing community benefit. Best practices in construction can limit dust, sediment runoff, and other short-term impacts, and the developer has included many of these protections in their plans. Once operational, solar arrays produce zero air pollutant emissions, and locating them close to the community makes energy transmission more efficient. In a time when wildfires are increasingly affecting our local air quality, clean local energy production is one of the most direct ways we can lower energy costs while protecting the health of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Joe Riley.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Riley, and I'm a member of the Laborers International Union of North America. And I'm here tonight on behalf of the men and women of Laborers Local 703, located here in Urbana, Illinois. I'm here tonight on behalf of those members to voice support for the Mahomet Solar Project. A project like this puts our members to work. Summit Ridge has agreed to a project labor agreement with us, and the tri-trades, us, the electricians and operating engineers. What that means is local men and women, regardless of what contractor works on this project or where they're from, it means they have to hire local men and women to work on this project. That means local men and women are going to put money back into the economy. That means local men and women working on this project are getting hours for their insurance, getting hours for their pension, and getting hours for their annuity. I actually have a handful of members back there with me tonight from Local 703. A couple of them actually live in the Mahomet area. So again, projects like this, clean energy projects, have allowed the trade unions to grow our apprenticeship programs. That means we can put more people to work. More young people looking for an opportunity can go out and seek employment with us and get an opportunity to go to work and get the things like I mentioned. insurance, a pension. We call it retiring with dignity. So again, here tonight on behalf of Local 703 to support this project. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Cindy Shepard.
Good evening, County Board. I want to thank you, first of all, for your service to the citizens of this community. And I want to thank you for the careful consideration that I know that you give to each clean energy project proposal that comes before you. I have two things to say. One is I have a petition that I think is a copy was in your packet as well. I'll just read it quickly. We, the undersigned residents, support the building of new community solar projects in Champaign County. We are current users, or we hope to become users of community solar. Community solar enables residents to benefit directly from solar projects, and it lets us use clean, low-cost solar even if our homes are not good sites for solar panels. Both homeowners and renters can use community solar. The benefit is a guaranteed 10 to 20% savings on electric supply charges annually. A recent national survey found that Ameren ratepayers right here in central Illinois experienced the third largest price increases in the nation, $540 this year. I know you noticed that, as we all did. As prices in our market have risen sharply, the community solar projects help consumers achieve significant savings, which helps our families' budgets. Around 1,000 households can benefit from a 5 megawatt project like the one before you tonight. Community solar is available to any Ameren customer, those who live around the lake, as well as those who live in other parts of Ameren territory. And demand for community solar has outpaced supply in our area. This means that some of us are on waiting lists to participate in projects, and having more projects would mean that more of your constituents and our neighbors could sign up and save. We hope that you will approve the Summit Ridge Energy's Mahomet Solar Project so that more people can enjoy solar savings on their utility bills. And it's signed, it was signed by 7 people when I sent it to you, and an 8th person called me this afternoon and asked for their name to be added. The second thing that I have to say is that one of the central values of our country from its beginning has been the value that we place on private property and the rights of private owners to use their property in the way that they see fit. And we have, that's especially important in rural communities. It's especially important for landowners in rural areas. They operate in many times with a lot of risk in difficult situations where commodity prices go up and down, and so do their ability to make a profit. When a landowner decides that they are going to harvest the sun and become part of a community solar project, they are making the decision that they think is best, not only for themselves and their wealth, but for their land and for their livelihood and for their legacy. And I think that it's important for us to respect those decisions. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. All right, let me see if I can get this right. Trayson Richardson.
Hello, my name is Tucson Richardson. I'm staff and a student at University of Illinois. Thank you for having me. I have 2 messages for you tonight. The first is, we heard from some fine men and women today. People who have worked hard and they've saved and they've built the life that they want. And I think we need to make sure that their voices are heard, that their concerns are taken seriously, and that we're respectful of their land, that their community that they have to live in. The second message is this: the past, present, and future. And our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, they traveled from far away. They came here, they worked hard, and they built a life. They sacrificed, and they planted trees, not for them, but for the next generation, people they've never met. And I think we need to think like them. We need to think about the future. We need to think about our actions and how they'll reflect. We need to think about when our kids are playing by the river, do we say, oh, stay away from the river, it's dirty. You don't know, it might catch fire. In Chicago, the river's caught fire. We need to think about what kind of air they breathe. So I don't want anyone to be steamrolled. I think everyone needs to be respected. We should hear their concerns and make every conceivable effort to meet with them where they are. I also think we need to think about the alternatives. So if we didn't do solar, how would people feel about building another gas refinery or a coal? Where are we going to put these things when we need cheaper fuel? So if the alternative is solar panels, you know, I want to make sure nobody is steamrolled by any means, but let's think about our future generations and the sacrifices we might have to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Stuart Levy.
Hello all. I'd like to speak to two things. One is that I'm glad that the proposal for reparations commission is coming before you, and I hope, I think it's a very good thing, and I hope you'll decide to support it. The other is that I'd like to speak in support of the Mahomet Solar Project on several grounds. I mean, I understand that the neighbors have concerns, and I've seen over the months that this has been in process that a number of those have been addressed. I've seen, for example, the assurance that the site will indeed, there will indeed be money to clear the site when it's when the project comes to its end. Nobody wants a pile of junk sitting next to them. I appreciate that there are assurances over the maintenance of drainage. That would be a big deal if the drainage might get damaged. But I see that part of the agreement is that has to be maintained. I'm really happy to see that there's provision for in ongoing maintenance both of the barrier of trees surrounding the site and of pollinator swaths surrounding the site. So all those I think are good. Would I like to have a site like this in my backyard? Yeah. One comment that has puzzled me is the worry about sound at night, sound from the inverters. But the inverters are, the fans in the inverters are running because they're providing power. And at night, there's not going to be any power, so I wouldn't expect that it would be making very much noise at night. So I appreciate quiet nights. I think if this project goes through, the neighbors will still find that their nights are quiet. Another point is that, let's see, there are concerns whenever solar projects are built in this area that it would displace prime farmland. And so the response to that is both, it's a good thing economically for a farmer to be providing power. It's their land, and they have a right to make non-disruptive use of it. But also, a lot of what the land gets used for now in this area, this high quality land that is high quality because it had prairie grasses growing on it for millennia. A lot of the use of that land now is to grow corn, which get about 30%, between 30 and 40% of Illinois corn gets turned into ethanol. Basically, it's an energy crop, and it's a really inefficient energy crop. It takes almost as much energy to turn that corn into ethanol and sell it as you gain from it. And in the process, even a really careful farmer is going to produce a good deal of nutrient runoff. In order to get good yields, you have to fertilize the corn. Some of that nitrogen, and especially nitrogen, runs off downstream into the Mississippi River. Illinois is the biggest contributor to nutrient runoff into the Mississippi. That goes down and makes the the Gulf uninhabitable. So anything that can be done to reduce that, that's a good thing. Let's have a better energy crop instead of a worse one. This is something that the county should support. Let's see. I guess I will stop with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Myra Cronin.
One second. Sorry, it closed. Oh my gosh, don't restart. Apologies. My name is Maura Cronin. I am a Director of Development for Summit Ridge Energy and the development lead for the proposed 4.99 megawatt AC project called Mahomet Solar. Our landowner regrets not being here tonight. They are unfortunately out of town on a mission trip. I believe that they sent a letter to all the county board members, but they unfortunately were not able to be here tonight. So I just wanted to express that. Yesterday, I emailed the board our progress letter is what I called it, with 5 exhibits, which is kind of that folded packet with a paperclip on it that I provided you about our progress since the last county board meeting. We heard the community and the board loud and clear about the desire for a community meeting. And I said things at the EOUC meeting that I was jaded about my last experience. The petition letter was signed at the meeting. I was so upset. So I'm really sorry that I didn't give a chance to the Mahomet community and to Champaign as a whole. So I really do want to apologize. That was on me. And I wish I could change what I said that night. And I know I upset a lot of people. So genuinely very sorry. Also, on October 3rd, I mailed 160 invitations and 11 of my 17 site plans were mailed to all residents within the Spring Lake community and approximately 0.3 miles north, east, and west to attend the community meeting on October 15th at the American Legion Post in Mahomet. Approximately 40 people were in attendance. We provided frequently asked questions, the FAQ, and renderings of what the project would look like from South Spring Lake community and along South Spring Lake Road. As you'll see, the solar panels will not be visible beyond our 7-foot fence and our trees. So we are proposing to plant 631 trees. So they'll be kind of staggered like a zigzag. It is proposed to be an arborvitae. Thuja evergreen is typically what we do for our projects. We have over 100 operating projects in the state of Illinois, and that plant has really worked all over the state for us. They be planted at 5 feet tall and grow to be 12 to 15 feet tall in maturity. And our panels are 5.81 feet tall, like at their base from grade. And then when they're at full tilt, it's just for 2 hours a day. And that's when they would be at 9 feet. So it would be 2 feet over the fence line, but also these evergreen trees do grow a foot to several feet every year. And then there is some elevation on site, and the max height is approximately 13.7 feet at full tilt. We also discussed at the community meeting site plan changes that were made. So we're no longer cutting down the trees on the east side of the site. That was approximately 1 acre. And our commitment to using local labor based on community and board's feedback. We've heard that from all of the boards, so I'm really personally excited that we're doing that. We also have a memorandum of understanding outlining our partnership with the Tri-Trades to employ local tradesmen and tradeswomen to construct a project at prevailing wage, like Joe Riley talked about earlier today. Ahead of the community meeting on 10/1, I had a discussion with the Spring Lake HOA chair, offering to donate to the dredging efforts as a hyper-local benefit, and the HOA respectfully declined our offer. Instead, after speaking with people at the community meeting, we decided to commit a $100,000 donation to the Mahomet Community Foundation to provide a direct benefit more broadly to all members of the local Mahomet community, not just the Spring Lake HOA members, where they're the only people that are allowed to use the lake. And at the community meeting, there were more questions about sound and a request for a fence to be around the inverters to contain noise. This was first raised at the initial ZBA meeting by Tom, who spoke earlier today. Though we are and were confident that without a fence, that you still would not be able to hear noise beyond our fence line. Though to show good faith at the efforts to the community based on the feedback that we've gotten, we have proposed the sound barrier, which you see it's the blue box like I put in my email to you. It's on just like the lower half, but it is on the east, west, and south side of it. I'm happy to point it out to you. Our inverters are in the middle of the site. We also did get sign off in writing from the fire chief, Kohler as well, to make sure he was comfortable with it. We haven't changed our access road. It's always been, it's called Hammerhead. So the access has always been the same. That was really important to us to not disrupt that, but also make sure that we are providing the sound barrier because that is really important to the community. We want them to be confident and comfortable. And then they're also concerned about invasive, invasive species. All right, we're committed to an agrologist.
Thank you. All right. Alvaro Almazu.
Good evening. My name is Alvaro Armaza, and I'm representing Summit Ridge Energy. I've worked as a civil engineer for over 4 years and earned my degree from Virginia Tech, a land-grant university founded on the idea that education and technical expertise should serve the people who feed and build our nation. We've listened to the community's concern, especially around noise disruption, aquifer contamination, and damage to the existing drain tiles and drainage patterns, especially sediment runoff into Spring Lake, and I'd like to address those directly tonight. A third-party sound study conducted for the project concluded that the sound levels will be below the Illinois Pollution Control Board limits and are, in fact, quieter than a library or quiet reading room, as described by the American Academy of Audiology, Brown University, and the Royal National Institute for Deaf People. In addition, the study concluded that the solar project will be inaudible at the receptor locations during inverter operation, and that the ambient reading will be mainly the noise from Highway 150. With no negative impacts from the operation of the project. To go a step further, we've agreed to install a sound deadening barrier system along the west, south, and east sides near the inverters closest to the residences. The product we've selected has an acoustical performance rating of STC 27 or 30, meaning it can block 27 to 30 decibels of sound, a reduction of more than 2/3 of the sound energy identified in the study. The solar modules are mounted on steel piles driven 10 to 15 feet into the ground with no concrete foundations. Per a study published by the University of Illinois, the Mahomet Aquifer lies at an elevation of 610 above mean sea level. The project has a typical elevation of 710. This means that the piles will be driven at a typical depth of 695, which is 85 feet above the aquifer. The project has been designed not to alter natural drainage patterns. In fact, it will improve runoff conditions. That is because the site will be planted with native prairie grasses and pollinator-friendly species. In hydrological terms, this is a meadow condition. This type of ground cover slows stormwater, filters out sediment, and reduces nutrients like phosphorus, resulting in cleaner, high-quality water leaving the site better than under traditional row crop conditions. Based on topography, the site naturally drains east and west towards Spring Lake. After development, the rate and volume of runoff will not increase, and the water quality will improve as determined by established hydrological practices. We'll implement best management practices during construction, including rock construction entrances, perimeter silt fencing, silt socks, straw mulch, and temporary seeding to minimize the potential for sediment leaving the site. Stormwater runoff that is upstream of Spring Lake will leave the site as non-muddy runoff. This is a federal and state requirement. We've contracted Huddleston McBride, an Illinois-based company with over 50 years of experience, to conduct a subsurface drainage tile survey across the entire project area. During construction, we'll avoid damaging any drain tiles, and if one is impacted, it will be repaired or replaced. Under both structural design standards and the agricultural impact mitigation agreement, any metal pile within 4 feet of a drain tile must be relocated, and any clogged tiles must be cleared or replaced. This isn't just our commitment, it's state law and a project requirement. Finally, once construction is complete, the site will be stabilized with native pollinator-friendly vegetation that will remain in place for the life of the project. This approach allows the land to rest and rebuild its soil health, improving nutrient levels for future agricultural use after decommissioning. A 2021 study in the Journal of Ecosystem Services found that solar projects using native grassland vegetation achieved a 3-fold increase in pollinator supply, a 65% increase in carbon storage potential, and significant improvements in sediment and water retention, up to 95% and 19% increases respectively. We're committed to doing this project the right way, safely, responsibly, and in partnership with the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ben Jacoby.
Good evening. My name is Ben Jacoby. I'm the attorney for the project company. I introduced myself last time I was here, but for those of you who weren't here, I'm the attorney for the project company. I'm a proud graduate of Muhammad Seymour High School, class of 2000. In fact, my family put 5 kids through the Muhammad Seymour school system. I'm the oldest. And then I went to the U of I. My parents lived in Park Hills. My dad still lives in town. And I'm proud to support this project that's in, just outside my hometown. I went to high school with the landowner's son. I went to high school with their attorney. So it's been a pleasure for me to work on this project and to help bring it to my backyard. The project has met all of the provisions of your ordinance, and as the lawyer, that's what I'm here to talk about. And for that reason, we do hope that we've earned your vote, and we look forward to your vote tonight. I know Maura had talked about a lot of the progress that has been made since the last county board meeting. That was all very intentional. The messages and the feedback and the comments were heard loud and clear. The project has received a lot of feedback, in fact, and that's part of the process. And I do know that the company regrets, I can say this on behalf of the company, they regret not holding a community meeting earlier, but they were given an opportunity to do so, and they did. And they learned some things from the members of the community, and they made some revisions to their site plan, and that is how the process is supposed to work. The project is more mature now because of it, and it was a benefit to the project that we had an extra month to work on it. We appreciated that. Those requests included, to refrain to cut down trees, the extra sound barrier. We also heard from members of the community that they wanted a commitment to local labor, and we heard from the union tonight, and we're proud partners with the Tri-Trades. These are all the above and beyond commitments that the project has made. They're evidence of how the process is supposed to work, and they're evidence of how the project has matured. And they're things that your ordinance doesn't require, but they're things that the project's committed to anyway. I want to spend the remainder of my time discussing the conditions because we really tried to put our money where our mouths are. In your packet that you received, the latest letter, Exhibit 5, were a list of proposed conditions. We also sent those to your state's attorney's office and received some comment back from the state's attorney's office today. And what I passed out before the meeting says proposed conditions of the special use permit, and it says revised in the top right-hand corner. It's a separate page. So you'll see 1AB, for example, is underlined. That's a revision that was made by the state's attorney's office. There's a revision in 1A. We're agreeable to all of the revisions offered by the state's attorney's office. All of the conditions we think hopefully support the development of the project. Condition 1 is related to the waiver 4 that has been requested, and this is where the project is committing to a cash escrow upfront of 100% of the decommissioning estimate and a cash escrow prior to the building permit. And so the terms of that agreement are laid out in 1A through E, how that escrow is generally determined and agreed to among the parties, how the money will be handled. We'll have to paper it with the state's attorney's office, but that condition is there to protect the county. The second condition is 1, that the applicant shall enter into a project labor agreement with the labor unions. We understand that's something that the board might not want in the conditions. We wanted to offer it. We've committed to it. It's going to happen. Whether you want to make it a condition to the special use permit, we will leave up to the board. The third is that we'll construct substantially similar to the revised site plan that was distributed most recently to the board. This condition actually says October 22nd. We sent the revised site plan today, which is the 23rd, so that date would need to be changed if you accepted this condition, but this is a condition that we comply or develop substantially similar to the revised site plan, including not removing the trees and installing the sound barrier that's on the site plan. And then the fourth condition, and this is what Maura was trying to get out before her time ran out, is that the applicant shall require an agrologist to inspect the project site annually for invasive species and will use commercially reasonable efforts to eliminate such invasive species. This was some feedback that we received at the community meeting. There was concern that in the meadow and the pollinator field that there would be some invasion of foreign species or something invasive, and they wanted that to be checked. And so that's an agreement that the project company also made. So those are the conditions we wanted to present to the board. We wanted you to know that we're committed to those, and here to answer questions on any of those or anything else that you would have. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve?
Yes.
Procedurally for a moment.
We're approaching an hour, yeah.
Yeah, we're approaching an hour. I'd entertain a motion. I'm sorry, I can't entertain a motion. I would like to make a motion to extend public comment.
Good motion, second by Chair Locke. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries, extending public input. All right, next is Jeffrey Trask.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time and commitment tonight. My name is Jeffrey Trask. I've been a Champaign County resident for about 32 years. Like many people, I came to U of I and ended up kind of appreciating and falling in love with the area and ended up staying here. It also helped that I got married and my wife's parents are in Charleston, Mattoon, and mine is an hour and a half north, so it was a good middle ground for us as well. I've raised 3 adult children in this community and also help raise 2 grandchildren when they come and visit. And I do emphasize help because I have yet to change a pamper, as my wife attests, of a grandchild. With all that said, I thank you for voting on this important matter of forming and funding a reparations commission. I was thinking about what I wanted to say this evening, and what came to mind was recalling some of my experiences as an African-American male experiencing discrimination over the years. Would that be a time when I got pulled over on my bicycle coming home from Subway, working that as a teenager, and I do mean bicycle, not motorcycle. Or when I had some experiences at one of my early jobs in my career where I was treated differently than my white counterpart coworker. Or when I saw firsthand how some of the programs for Black entrepreneurs could be circumvented and not fulfill the goals that they were intended to fill. And this is just a snippet of what just my experience has been as an African-American. When I think about multiplying those experiences by other African-Americans who have suffered during my lifetime and generations before, I cannot begin to imagine the amount of trauma and pain and suffering and unfairness and worse that was unnecessarily experienced by so many for so long. As a grandfather of a 3 and a 1-year-old, I hope that we can work to help form a world where these experiences do not happen because we have figured out that we're all in this together. I also hope that that tiny minuscule percentage of our DNA that dictates our skin tone would not supersede the vast majority of our DNA that is the same for each and every one of us as human beings. So I hope that you see this vote not as a political polarizing issue, but as a unifying injustice issue. I hope that you see this vote not as silencing the voices of those that resist change, but as giving voice to those that have been unfairly harmed in the past and still being harmed in the present. I hope that you see this vote not as some obligatory decision to appease anyone, but as a welcome opportunity to do justice and mend the wounds of those who were wrongfully harmed. I hope that you see this vote not as granting favor, showing mercy, giving charity, or gifting anyone, but as starting and continuing a long overdue journey towards creating a more just world. You have heard me share statistics and stories, information about why reparations for African Americans should be a given instead of a debate. This evening, we can set the tone for other communities around this country to emulate. While we won't be the first, we can still be early adopters. We can show that reparations is not about division, but about unity. Not about politics, but about justice. And not only about African Americans, but about all of us. Acknowledging harm and doing justice will make Champaign County an even better place to live. I'm, for one, excited. I'm excited to start this journey. And for the sake of generations to come, I hope you are too. Thank you.
Thank you. Derek Briles.
Good evening, board. Thanks for the time to come out and speak to you and for considering. Sounds like you got some really difficult decisions in front of you tonight. I don't envy you your jobs and how late you're probably going to be here. Like Dr. Trask, I am here to speak in favor of the resolution supporting the Reparations Commission. I don't have the same experiences as Dr. Trask. I can't speak to those personal experiences of exploitation and oppression that he's faced. But we can all see that it happens. We all know that it's still here. And I think one point that we often overlook is that the 13th Amendment did not end slavery. Slavery was a horrible injustice that has created generational disadvantages and oppression, but it did not end. Everyone forgets that word, except for the punishment of a crime. And who gets to decide what is or is not a crime? It's those who are powerful, those who are wealthy. Those who are powerful and those who are wealthy tend to look like me, not like Dr. Trask. And we contribute to that here locally. 57% of bookings through that shithole of a jail are of African-American residents. 57%, less than 20% of this county is black. 57%, and you know why that is? Because slavery is still legal. If for the punishment of a so-called crime, because we have for-profit prisons and we have prison labor, and that is a huge industry. And that is why reparations are important, right? It can't fix that. This commission isn't going to fix that problem. This is a bigger problem, but it's going to send a message, right? Just like Dr. Trask said, you're not going to be the first. We're going to be early adopters, and we can be a shining light, right? We don't have to be part of the problem. We can be part of that solution, and this is a big step forward to be part of that solution. I also, I'm not an environmental engineer. I don't live in Mahomet, so I can't speak to the solar issue with any great knowledge, but I do want to provide some helpful context because these issues aren't as disparate as they might seem. Our energy issues exist for the same reason, right? The same billionaire class that exploits and oppresses black folks for profit are the same people that are funding, that are the extractive energy, oil, fracking. That's because of them. And all of our energy prices are going up because of them, because of the AI and the data centers that they're building in Chicagoland. That's why our energy prices are going up. So I think these people probably have legitimate complaints. I mean, renewable energy is the future. There's no doubt in that. We can't get away from that. Fossil fuels aren't going to work. Climate change is real. But they have legitimate complaints. But those complaints, I want to make sure you have a good context. It's not about solar, right? It's about the billionaire class that's trying to force AI down our throats to kill our jobs so their products can be made cheaper, right? Ending probably good union jobs like our brothers and sisters from the unions back there, and to generate more profit. That's the issue here. So I hope these folks that are against the solar farm understand that, right? Your complaint isn't with solar energy. I hope you can understand that you're being exploited in a very similar way, right? For the profit of billionaires. So please vote in support of the reparations resolution. Please vote in support of the solar farm, but please also take seriously the complaints that these people are bringing forward. This does impact their lives. I don't want them to be steamrolled, and understand the context here that these complaints are tied together, right? They're all bound in that exploitation that we have from the billionaire class, from the Trump administration, from the people that are extracting value from us on a daily basis. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Rebecca Mangels.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Mangles. I'm a resident of Champaign, and I'm here to speak a resounding yes to the reparations resolution tonight that many of my comrades have already spoken on. I'm here to echo that yes and urge you to please vote yes on reparations. I know that this is a very important issue for the community at large, and it's one which the African American and Black communities have been fighting for centuries, since the end, as we've discussed, which is not really the end, but the end of chattel slavery and the continued evils of Jim Crow, discrimination, anti-Black laws, police brutality. These are very real issues in our community and in the nation at large. And it's very important that we be part of the solution. So I think this is a great step in the right direction, and I encourage you to vote yes. I also am here to speak about an issue which is not on the agenda, but I would nonetheless like to bring to your attention. I am an organizer of Lift the Ban Coalition here in Champaign-Urbana, and basically we are a statewide coalition trying to lift the ban on rent control. As you may know, there is a 1997 law in the state of Illinois forbidding any community from installing and instituting any sort of rent control, which I believe is very undemocratic. It is undemocratic to ban something at large. And I believe that we should put the autonomy back into our community's hands to be able to decide for ourselves how much people should be raising the rent on us at any given time. Because unfortunately, as we know, corporate greed is a major issue. It is one which is exploiting folks like myself. I do have a master's degree, but I work 3 different jobs to be able to afford my living expenses and my student loans and my rent. It is very important to our community that we get these rent prices under control. And that's what Lift the Ban is trying to do. So through Bill HB 3687, which is currently in the Illinois House, we are trying to encourage our legislators to pass this bill. We will be lobbying in Springfield this week and continued efforts to do so. And our representative, Carol Ammons, is also a sponsor of the bill, so you can thank her for that. But I encourage you to do some research on this topic as board members. This is a huge issue that impacts your clients, the people who you serve as public servants. And furthermore, I want to say the issue of reparations and the issue of rent are not all that different. In fact, they are very intersectional and intertwined. And the reason why I'm bringing both of them up in the same meeting is not a coincidence. It is because people of minority communities are disproportionately impacted by the rising rent. 50% of unhoused people, for example, are employed. We have jobs, but unfortunately the rent is too expensive, is too damn high for even those of us who have jobs to be able to afford. And this disproportionately impacts women of color, any sort of minority communities. And I want to speak again, please support rent control in Illinois and do some research on this. I'd be happy to connect with you afterwards as well to speak more on this subject. Thank you for listening, and vote yes for reparations.
Thank you. Next up is Sharon Irish.
Good evening. Thank you for your service and your patience for tonight. I am speaking to adopt 2025-303, supporting the establishment and funding of the Reparations Commission. My name is Sharon Irish. I've lived in Urbana for 40 years. First, I'm going to read a letter from Randy Nelson, who is unable to be here tonight. And then if I have time, I'll have a few comments. So my name is Randall Nelson. I live in Champaign. I'm a member of First Mennonite Church, and I speak tonight from a faith perspective because for me, reparations is a significant moral issue. A common negative response to reparations is that slavery ended over 150 years ago. So why are we dragging up old history that has no relevance today to either white or Black people? That is a serious misunderstanding of the issue. In 1960, my grandfather died and left me 53 shares of AT&T. Over the past 65 years, that wealth generated from those stocks increased 100-fold from their initial value. The only thing I did to deserve that windfall was to have a white grandfather. In the late 1800s, my grandfather, a recent immigrant from Sweden, was able to obtain land in Nebraska and became a successful farmer. If he had been Black, that likely would not have been possible, and I would be experiencing that loss today. This is just one small but concrete example of how those of us who have family, who have been permitted to fully participate in the economy, have been able to accumulate generational wealth. That is why, according to the latest data available, the median white household wealth is $284,000. According to the latest data that's more than 6 times that of the median black household wealth of $44,000. So 284 versus 44,000. Neither group deserves this, but we can seek in some small way to repair the damage. I made my living, this is Randy Nelson speaking, as a geneticist. In the 1990s, we learned that environmental factors could change inheritance patterns in subsequent generations, and that is called epigenetics. We now know that the genes are not changing, but the factors that control whether genes are turned on or off are changing. There is a growing body of scientific literature that shows that the trauma of enslavement and Jim Crow racism have produced epigenetic changes with negative impacts on the physical and mental health of Black people. Black people no longer are enslaved, but 400 years of abuse is now recorded in their genes. We can seek in some small way again to repair the damage. He ends with, I urge you to support the reparations resolution on the agenda. So now Sharon Irish is speaking. Reparations is a big tent movement that builds coalitions and leverages organizational strengths to build cultures of repair and healing. Nearly every issue links to reparations: health, education, housing, employment, wealth gap, land ownership, civil rights, and so on. Some say it is an overwhelming concept, and indeed, reparations, like any fundamental transformation, is a lot to tackle. That's why coalitions and collective actions make sense. There are already efforts underway in the county that could be made more intentional to create a culture of healing. It's not up to me to decide how and what to prioritize in addressing centuries of egregious harms. That's why we not a report that's going to be sitting on a shelf. The CU Reparations Coalition is ready to provide assistance to the Commission, but we need their leadership and engagement in the process. It's possible that the Commission would choose to start with housing inequity, which was not produced by accident, but through persistent discrimination at every level: banking, real estate, neighborhood associations, local government. The low rates of home ownership among African Americans is one reason for the wealth gap, because inheriting property is a key way for the next generation. In terms of redlining, the Champaign County Clerk's Office, as you know, has identified local subdivisions that deployed restrictive covenants to keep Blacks out of certain neighborhoods. While these covenants are no longer, we have seen a number of harmful policies we thought had ceased be reinstituted in the last few years. Thus, to strike this language for the records is one relatively easy means of repair. And there are other possible means of redress that hopefully the Commission will be able to explore. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Tim Ingalls.
Hello, County Board members. Thank you for your service. I've been sitting there in the front row, and I'm a former